Hey, what's up, guys? We have Michael Brewer here. He was a lawyer. He is currently trying to be an actor in LA. And then he also has his own YouTube show called Streaming the Law, where he covers um, TV actors who are playing lawyers. He talks about the law topics. So how you doing today, Michael?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself first, and then we'll
Yeah,
go from there?
yeah. I am from Nebraska. Pretty much been in the Midwest my entire life. Relocated out to LA in September. But prior to doing that, practiced law mostly in the Omaha area in Nebraska. I was a prosecutor in Southeast Iowa for a little bit as well. Uh, did some school in Kansas City, did some school in Central Nebraska. Did law school at University of Nebraska and at Creighton in Omaha, and did that for quite a long time. In between there, I was a college soccer coach. Um, and then was trying to do that. Took the bar a couple years after I graduated law school, and I actually got my first job from my high school soccer coach. Um, he was opening up an office and needed some help. And so I did that for quite some time. Took a few years off in there just for some personal reasons, but then got back at it and did that up till early 2024. Did a little bit of everything. In between there, I mentioned the prosecutor job. I did mostly general practice, which is a little bit of everything. Jack of all trades, kind of a master of none for quite some time. I spent a little time doing criminal defense, and the last 3-ish years was pretty much all divorce or divorce related cases. Family law, kind of, but divorce, modifications, custody, paternity, child support, things like that. While I was doing that, I started a legal tech company, which was automating the process of creating documents faster for attorneys. Was able to get some funding for that actually. So I couldn't do both jobs. So I quit being an attorney to do that. Um, did that for about a year and a half. Did that solo for about, by solo, I mean that was my only job. Oh, till about late fall of 2024. And then when I had the opportunity to move to LA to further pursue acting, which I'd kind of been doing regionally, later in life for the last 2, 3 years. So I got an agent out in LA, packed up the car and headed out here. And the town's on fire. It has nothing to do with me. But
Right when
really,
you get here.
yeah, I've been out here since September.
Yeah.
And I'm about 4 miles from the Palisade fire evacuation zone. They're getting it
Damn.
contained, but it's horrible out here, and there's supposed to be some huge winds tonight. So but yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell. A little bit all over the place, I'd say.
Yeah, so I definitely want to know. I am very interested in working in Hollywood, and I definitely want to know about the transition from being a lawyer to working in Hollywood. First of all, why? Well, first of all, I'm curious. You said you started a legal tech company. How much do you see AI kind of going into um, law, basically? Like, do you think there's within 5 or 10 years they'll just have like Chat GPT lawyers, or is that never going to happen? You think?
I don't think the lawyers are going to be replaced. They, it's early attempts of lawyers trying to purely use Chat GPT have gone horribly. Uh, Chat GPT, I think it's called hallucinates and will make stuff up. And we had some attorneys, I think in New York, basically asked Chat GPT to write a brief, which was a legal argument for a court case, and turned it in, and the judge read it, and the cases that it was citing to for precedent didn't even exist. So there's that, but they're also getting better exponentially. I think the parts that will be replaced will be more of support staff. You got chatbots that pop up on every website that are getting very good. Sounds like you're talking to a human. They're doing scheduling. They can do the research for you. I don't think attorneys are going to be replaced, but I do think there might be parts of law offices that are replaced.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen that myself with the hallucinations. I'm going to ask you about it later, but I do like YouTube videos where I use the chat GPT and then like kind of put it over videos to like, explain something. And it's hallucinated a lot. And it's getting better and better, I've noticed. Like it's hallucinating less than it was like, say, a year ago. But I think that it's going to get better and better. But yeah, I would imagine you would always need like a real person to like verify that the information's correct. You also need a real person to like go into court and all that. But yeah, so as far as being a lawyer, why did you quit being a lawyer to come here? And then yeah, what was the lawyer life like? Like is it a pretty stressful job to have? Did you like it or not?
I enjoyed it, but it can be very stressful. Um, there's all sorts of areas of the law, and I'm guessing some of them might be less stressful. I never had any of those jobs. Um, did a lot of divorce, and that's tough part about that is people going through one of the hardest times of their life with somebody they thought they loved, and then there's children involved, and you want to do a good job for them, and a lot of attorneys internalize that. So, and I know I did. Then, if you're doing criminal defense, people's life and liberty are on the line. If you're doing prosecution, you're the victim is not your client. This, you work for the state, but you're trying to help out victims that some people have had horrible things happen to them, but then they don't want to show up and testify. So you're dealing with that. I've done some personal injury cases. I've done some wrongful death cases. And those can be tough when somebody's life is reduced to a dollar amount, where the people on the other side are doing everything they can to make them seem worthless. So there's a lot of different, I've done a little tiny bit of immigration. So there's different issues there, and you have people trying to seek asylum from other countries, trying to flee some horrible situations in their home country. So there's a lot at stake. And, I'd say 95% of attorneys really want to do their job, just like anybody that has any job. It's kind of the bad eggs that give people the bad rap, if that makes sense. And that's typically a small majority, I've come to find. So I enjoyed it. But I'm not getting any younger. So I'm not a tech guy, but I thought of a tech idea and that had a chance. I think I had too small of a team, but I got into an accelerator. I got some funding to try to grow it. So I had to decide continue to be an attorney or try this thing that might be awesome. And I tried it and didn't go the way I planned. But while I was, that was slowing down, chance encounter with an agent with Nebraska ties in Nebraska that lives in LA. And I had been trying to do what I could in the Midwest as far as acting, but it wasn't something I did my entire life. Um, we can maybe get into that in a second, but she brought me on board, and I was like, well, that's kind of where all the opportunity is. That's changing a little bit with Atlanta and some productions going overseas, but it's still, I mean, it's Hollywood. And like I said before, I'm not getting any younger. Uh, if I don't try, I'm never gonna know. And it's been pretty cool so far. Definitely two
Yes.
different worlds, suit and tie, and I have to wear a lot of suit and ties in the roles I get out here. I get a lot of detective and a lot of police officer and a lot of businessman. Um, but nobody's life's on the line. I'm trying to play pretend very convincingly. Some people would hate that I say that are actors, but at the end of the day, I'm trying to convince you I'm somebody that I'm not and entertain you and come across as the character I'm supposed to play.
Yeah. So were you acting before? Like how did you get your start in it?
No, I did one small part in a high school musical my senior year just because everybody else was doing it, but no acting experience up until the end of COVID, maybe. So when COVID hit, I was in Southeast Iowa. I was a prosecutor. I was about 5 hours away from Omaha. We couldn't leave the state. My courthouse shut down, basically. And we'd go in, but there was nothing to do. So I got into writing. I was a journalism major in undergrad, so I liked that kind of writing, but I thought a podcast might be fun. But so that's early 2020. There weren't really video podcasts. And that was when I thought of the streaming the law. But then I realized me talking, verbalizing what's happening on a show, then explaining it with nobody watching it would probably be pretty boring. And so I was like, well, okay. So I was watching a crap load of Netflix out there. There's nothing to do at the time. And I was like, maybe I can write my own show. So I got into writing screenplays. And that's going pretty decent too. I mean, that's a whole nother thing I'm working on as well. I've got uh, several completed pilots, a couple shorts. I actually filmed a short out here in December that's in post-production, like a 7-minute slow burn comedy. But the screenwriting got me into, well, if I want to relate to actors, I should probably have some understanding of what actors are looking for, what it's like to be an actor. Then I really liked the acting. And then I'm like, well, maybe yeah, I should make some of this stuff. I'll write it and I'll be in it. So maybe I should get better at acting. And then, so that works 2021, 2022, 2023. I decided I was going to do what I could in Omaha to learn as much as I could. Took a class out of Chicago online, took a class out of Australia online, actually came out to LA January 2024 to take a class. And there's not a huge amount of opportunities. There's commercials, there's short film. I mean, basically in that year before I moved out here, year and a quarter, I booked like 19 things. But I traveled to Des Moines, Iowa, about 2 hours east. I did a small part in a student film in Tampa because my brother lives down there. I drove 6 hours, 2 different weekends to be in a student film down in Springfield, Missouri. Uh, Booked a handful of commercials. So I did what I could. And then when I had the opportunity to come out here with representation through an agent, I took it. I
So
can't remember the question. You'll probably find that out. I'll get to rambling.
no, the original question was what was your start? How did you get into it? But
Oh, okay. COVID.
how did you get the agent? Like how did the
Uh,
agent find you or did you contact her or
so how that happened is Nebraska passed a tax incentive that went into effect January 1. And she's from Omaha. And a couple people that are newer to Omaha were basically saying, hey, movies are going to be coming in 2025, potentially, because of tax incentives. Georgia's got a huge one. California upped theirs. Nebraska will give you money, tax breaks, money back if you make a certain amount of budget movie. So filmmakers look for that. And if filmmakers are gonna come to Nebraska, this is what they expect if they're from New York. This is what they expect if they're from Atlanta. This is what they expect if they're from LA. And what may have worked for you here in Nebraska, for Nebraska produced stuff, Midwest produced stuff is probably not going to be good enough in a nice way. Like resumes look different in New York, in LA, than what I was using. Headshots, what should they look like? What should your video reel look like? Which is just a resume of clips that 1 to 2 minutes long that either show your drama or show your comedy or show a range. So when these productions are coming, they have to put in a certain amount of Nebraska people. And if you want to be one of them, you got to up your game. So she was one of the presenters. I introduced myself after, sent my reel that I had to her, talked a couple times. Within 10 to 14 days after that, I was on the team. And then a couple days after that, I was auditioning in Omaha for. So everybody auditions at home. And you actually probably do need to be in LA if you're saying you're in LA. But I was planning on getting there a couple weeks later. But I got to audition for Steve Carell's new HBO show that's coming out soon, a small part, and a series on Netflix about a cartel filming in Mexico City. Got to audition for that right away. So met her, took a chance, just said, hey, can we chat? Here's my stuff. Had a couple talks, and she brought me on board. And then I said, well, that's where all the opportunity is. I can't be in LA tomorrow if I say I'm in LA and I'm in Omaha, because sometimes there's some quick turnaround like that. So I came out here.
Wow. So have you got any big roles yet, or even
Well, not
any?
big. I got to audition for Law and Order last week, a smaller part. Uh, can't like say much about it, but I would have got to go to New York if I would have got it. I got to audition for a pretty big Netflix show to be a guest star on it. So I've had a handful of what I guess you'd call big stuff. Um, I've I've done one commercial. I've done, after this week, I've done about 17 things, which is crazy for 4 months that have
Yeah.
speaking roles.
Wow.
One bigger budget short film about a real life oncologist who developed a natural treatment for cancer and fought the FDA, where I actually played the actual doctor who's still alive and he was there. That's in post production.
Will that be like in the theaters and all that? Like, will it be like a big
Probably
movie or?
not, because it's a short. It's probably 30 to 35 minutes. So it's more for competitions, film competitions. Um, I'm in a independent horror film this weekend up in the mountains, about 2 hours to the east. I did a horror short down in San Diego that got into some contests so far. Uh, the rest have been, like I said, commercial. Rest have been mostly student films, but I mean, LA's got all of, well, the top 5 film schools maybe in the world, or 5 of the top 10. You've got USC, you got Loyola Marymount, you've got Chapman, you've got Cal State Northridge, you've got American Film Institute. UCLA is more for screenwriting and directing, I think. Don't quote me on that, but I see much less postings from them. But I've shot a film at least all of those. And New York Film Academy. There's also LA Film School. Um, and some of these people in these programs are so, I mean, they were already cinematographers before they got in. So the stuff's starting to come out. It's looking good. And some of these might be the next Spielberg. Who knows?
Would I know of any of the names like at all?
No.
No. All like small indie starting out.
Yeah, so most of them are, both schools have undergrad program and a master's program. So they get better as they go through the first 4 years. I've probably done 2/3 people in their master's program, 1/3 in undergrad. But they, the films they make do very well in contests and better film festivals. Not just against other students, but they get longer as they go through the program. But you're looking at 10-minute films. So they're kind of building their portfolio. And the big thing is making the connections. because there's so many people. My movie's going to be 7 minutes max, and there's with actors and crew and everybody, there's 17 people just to make a 6 minute movie.
Yeah. And
So
so all
you,
these parts like that you're doing, like you're going to Big Bear, you're shooting now, are they all talking parts or are any of them like extras? Are you doing extras stuff too? Or
I'm doing some background. The numbers I gave you are for speaking roles. This week I am doing a background on an Oxygen Channel recreation show. I'm a detective. I have done two different background episodes of a different recreation show on Oxygen for season 2, which that series starts again in about 11 days. I've done background
what is that
on.
one?
So one of the this week I've been on Buried in the Backyard, season 6,
I think
and
I've
then
heard of that.
the other one's Prosecuting Evil with Kelly Siegler, Texas prosecutor. So it's a combination of interviews with the people that were involved in the case with recreations. So I
Oh,
never
okay.
talk, but I find the body or interview the suspect. So that's Buried in the Backyard,
Like
and
you're in like kind of like the fake video that they're showing of what actually happened. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
a couple of those. So 3 episodes of those. Ted, season 2, Seth MacFarlane's show.
Oh, wow, that's big.
Yeah, but it's background. You
Yeah,
know,
but I mean, even still, like you hear stories about how people get noticed and as background workers and stuff.
it happens, but it's not a career path. It's kind of a
Yeah.
whole separate thing. But it's still fun to do. You get to watch amazing people work. The Spider Noir background on that. Nicolas Cage, new thing
Oh,
coming out
wow.
soon.
Yeah.
Uh, and
Did
just
you get to
watching
meet
the
any of the people?
actors. What's that?
Did you get to meet any of the?
No, that's you don't
You're
do
not
that.
supposed to. Yeah. That's a
No.
big you can get blacklisted for
The
just
first
talking to someone.
first one I did is the season 4 premiere of Hacks with Gene Smart and
Yeah.
Helen Hunt.
Yeah.
I might actually see my face on that one. And the person sitting next to me is Brittany. We got to just chatting. She was doing some extra work, but she is the waitress on the new Frasier.
I mean, honestly, I didn't even know that Frasier
Had a
there was a
reboot.
new Frasier, and I also didn't know that there was a Ted show. I think I did know that there was a Ted show, but I was thinking of the movie, but that it was two movies, but now they've turned it into a show. I
There's
mean,
a season one.
obviously I know of it. I just didn't. I forgot that it had been turned into a show. Yeah,
Yeah, and there's so many different streamers now. It's
yeah.
kind of hard to keep up with it. I don't have all of them. Um, but yeah, so that's the background. I think all the background I've done. But I just do it as some sort of irregular income. And it is fascinating watching the 2 times I was on TED. One of them, there was like 300 of us as extras. So, and their crew alone's 50 to 70 people. And just watching him direct and watching the movement of the cameras and watching the actors.
Was it
I was
Seth
more,
MacFarlane directing it?
yeah,
Oh wow, yeah. That's a big deal. But I mean, like you were saying with networking and stuff, even though you're not supposed to like go up to these people as a background actor, I would think you might just like bump in to the right person and be like, hey, I'm no, that doesn't happen at all.
I I don't. I just chat with the people around me.
Well, even the people around you may know
But I've met some
something.
good people. Yeah, I haven't ran into a ton of this. I'm just there to meet and chat and observe and learn. But
Yeah.
it's not a who are you and I'm not, most people aren't. You hear a lot about this. It's a town where everybody just wants to know what they can get from you. But I have not. That's true everywhere. and it's a small minority. I'm sure there are people like that. I haven't dealt with it. It's just kind of just chatting with your neighbor, just to who they are, where they're from, what are they up to.
Yeah.
And I just always have a lot of questions because it's a huge town, and they're long days, long days of not doing a lot, which I'm not complaining about. I learned to bring a book. I learned to bring my laptop. I learned to bring other
Yeah.
things to do. So
Yeah. And is it
they're
okay if we?
well-oiled machines, very
Yeah,
well-oiled machines.
I'm sure. Yeah. Speaking of the people in LA being fake, like I just saw like an Instagram reel or TikTok or whatever, where like everybody was like helping the people's, whose house got burned down from the fire, and they're like, people say the people in LA are fake, but and see, like you said, I don't really notice that much either. I'm outside of LA, like an hour east in the Inland Empire, if you know where that area. It's like the cheaper part of the LA area, Southern California. But yeah, most people that I meet out here are really pretty friendly and just normal people. I grew up in Orange County, which is like the mecca of rich people. And obviously you got your like for whatever reason, like Paris Hilton comes to mind, but like you obviously have those types of people who are probably I don't know her, but it's like you have the Kim Kardashians or whatever who are probably fake, but most people are just regular people trying to get by and very friendly. Yeah, I don't know how much you wanted to talk about this as opposed to the streaming the law, so I don't want this to take up too much time if you're not interested in it. But yeah, okay, and then we'll transition into that because I'm also curious about I'll ask like friends who are lawyers about Better Call Saul and all that. But so yeah, so in terms of what you want to do, what do you want to do? Like I just saw right before I'm only bringing this up is right before I saw that Vince Gilligan, the creator of Breaking Bad, I'm sure you know who he is, or at least the show. He's coming out with a new show on Apple TV Plus, which I'm super excited for because I love Breaking Bad. What kind of stuff are you looking to do? What do you want to
Oh,
do? I kind of see you, and this is like obviously a compliment, but I kind of see you as like a Jason Statham or like a Matt Damon type. I don't know if that's what you want to do at all. And then you also kind of remind me of someone. Um, I
I'll
think
tell you what
actually,
I get out here. I get a little Michael J. Fox,
okay, I can see that.
and um, I'm drawing a blank. Little Michael J. Fox, not Jason Statham. Little Jason Bateman, and I don't mind any of those comparisons
Yeah,
at all. But what do I want to do? I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. I want to make my own stuff. If somebody wants me in their stuff, am I good? If I'm a good fit, that's great. But Jenna Fisher, who was Pam on The Office, wrote a book, and her first several years out here, she was waiting for somebody else to pick her, and her career finally changed when she met up with others and they started making their own stuff. So you got to be perfect for somebody else's vision. So that's the tough part of being an actor, a new actor or an established actor. If they didn't have somebody that looks like you or acts like you in mind, tough sell. So, but making high quality stuff is very expensive, involves a lot of people. So that's why I like to write. Um, I like to I guess I'm a multi hyphenate. You know, I love my own the streaming the law because I love talking about that. I think that's entertaining. Maybe that turns into something. I don't know. I thought about it for 5 years and got back in town Christmas night and got to it on the 26th and been trying to put out 2 episodes a week since then. And if you look at a lot of people that have become some sort of household names, kind of all started by getting themselves out there with their stuff. I'm big fans of the Workaholics guys. They've turned in their homemade funny little skits into 8 seasons of Workaholics and all sorts of movies since. The Sunny in Philadelphia guys. Holy cow.
yeah,
You know, a 10-minute pilot on a camcorder because they're highly trained actors, and they all met each other out here and were sick of doing commercials or sick of waiting for somebody else to pick them. Like, hey, let's make something. Made something on a camcorder. Somehow got it in FX's hands. Somehow got a pilot out of that, and now they're making season 18, I think, longest running show ever. Crossing over with
Crazy.
Abbott Elementary right now. All sorts of movies. All own a freaking soccer team, because they all made their own stuff. So that's probably my
Yeah.
main thing is the connections I'm making out here and finding the other people that are like-minded. And there's so many of them, so many dreamers. I'm a dreamer. I'm pushing 50 for real, getting a little bit of a late start, but there's so many people that sacrificed a lot and gave up a lot to come out here and be amongst all these people wanting to make stuff. So
Yeah.
somehow I want to be involved in that.
Yeah. And I mean, just the fact that you've already done so much in 4 months or whatever is more than I've ever done. I mean, I haven't really tried to do anything in LA, but probably more than I ever potentially could do in LA. I would love to work up there in any form. I've never really tried, but even being like a PA or even like an extra. And like the last guy that I talked to, I don't know if you saw, but he was like a digital marketer and NASA test subject, but he also was doing extra work, and he was saying that you could do extra work full time, and it's like I know that's like not what you want to do, but and it's not probably the most money, but it seems like a pretty cool job. You know what I mean? To be like a full time extra in like Hollywood movies, like I
You
wouldn't
you
really be
could
complaining.
you could do it. The thing
Yeah,
is, you never really know if you're working tomorrow, if that makes sense.
yeah,
And you're gonna know maybe I'm working 3 days this week, haven't heard about next week. And the pay, it's all right, but a normal 9 to 5 at a coffee shop would make you more, and you get to be inside. But I mean,
yeah.
they feed you well as a background, and you do get time and a half after a certain amount of time. Then you do get double time after a certain amount of time. First one I did it, I was there 14 hours with a 5:14. It was that weird number, 5:14 a.m. call time. So I mean, you get
That
paid
is a
for your
weird
time.
time.
Yeah. And but they outfit you. I mean, but you sit around a lot. I'm not complaining about that. But after your day's over, you might not be working tomorrow because somebody out there is casting all the extras and they need people with cars, or they need people over 60, or they need kids that are older than 18 to play under 18. So I mean, there's all sorts of productions going on out here, and you could potentially do it full time, but you don't know if you're starting at 5 a.m. or noon. You don't know if you're ending at 5 p.m. or midnight. And some people might not care, but if you're gonna, it's hard to have a normal job that's not going to carry. Okay, you can go be an extra. Well, you have a job here. No, I'm not giving you time off. So you kind of got to pick one or the other, and then it's not really a career path if you want it to be an actor. I just like meeting the people and watching the people work, and I haven't done an extra in a couple of months now. Just I've been too busy to take them when they check if I'm available when they come through, and just if they check if you're available, that doesn't mean you're going to get picked. So there's that too. So you can do it, but it's tough. And I mean, quite honestly, if you like say coffee, I've been a barista, I've been a bartender, I've been a server, I've done all that stuff. Like if you can lock something like that down 3, 4 nights a week, and then still want it on your days off to maybe be available to see if you get picked, that could be something where you could do them both.
Yeah, or even like an Uber driver or something where like, you can like, because I actually do Amazon Flex where like you pick when
Oh
you
yeah.
work, so you could just like try and get a job that's convenient where you can work around it, you know. But yeah. But so in terms of the genre though that you want to do, like, are you looking for comedy or drama
Oh,
or action or?
I I'm like a goofball at heart, a little scatterbrained, a little. I'm trying to remember the word my agent, quirky. That's what she called me. She called me quirky. So I kind of get goofy dad, but I get a lot of roles where I'm a real asshole. I mean, I can act like a dick really well. Um, I though I like watching a good drama, but acting wise, I prefer making people laugh.
Yeah.
So the things I write are mostly dramedies. Have some realistic things in there, and the funny comes out of the situation. And I love a goofy comedy, but I also like stuff that's kind of relatable, grounded in reality.
Yeah. I was gonna say when you said it's always sunny in Philadelphia, I can kind of see like a Dennis from you in that.
Oh,
Not so much Dennis, but the actor who plays Dennis, like
yeah,
I'm talking about. I'm forgetting his name, but kind of like he can do comedy, but that you can tell he can also do straight. Like there's kind of like both sides to it. I kind of
yeah.
see that. Yeah.
I think he's a classically trained. I think he trained at Juilliard, to be honest with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, he's a good actor. But he was also in that I saw him in Blackberry where he was like a dick, but it was like funny.
Yeah,
He was good in that one. Yeah. And so
Glenn Howerton.
yeah. Yeah.
That's his name.
Um and then have you done any directing or just writing and acting?
My own short, I co-directed. So I don't know if that counts, but I basically left that to the other director day of, since I was also acting in my own movie. The directing, we did a lot of the preparation ahead of time with the other director, the director of photography, the first assistant director, and it's a slice of life kind of slow burn comedy. It's called Bruce. Um,
Would I be able to see that? Is it online anywhere or anything?
it is. I just watched the first rough cut today, so no, it doesn't exist yet.
But it will
Uh,
eventually.
it will. Yeah, it's designed for kind of a calling card for my writing, for producing a movie, for co-directing a movie. Show what we can get done with a very, very small budget and see if any film festivals like it. But the directing I did day of was not from behind the camera. It was basically just of actors. I'm trying not to be super vague about it. Um, but some of the slice of life, there's some certain language that goes into it. And I just kind of had to say, oh, that's not what you think it means. So if you could say it a little different, but it's all people in uh, the the guy that brought all the equipment is a guy from my hometown, Bellevue, Nebraska. Went to high school with his brother. He runs a company out here renting camera equipment to film productions. So he had it all. And he got all the crew, people he knew, and I got all the actors, people I'd met in class out here. And it was awesome. I watched the first cut today, and yeah, it looks like I wanted it to look. So
Would any of these be at like the Palm Springs Film Festival that just went on?
well, I have a list that I haven't looked at for a while, to be honest with you. And I want to do some around here. There's a film festival every day. So I actually wanted to be something that means something. That makes sense. Like, the Taco Tuesday 6-minute film festival for astronauts festival likes my film. Yay. That doesn't mean anything. So some like Palm Springs, there's LA, there's Santa Barbara, there's San Diego. That's just a couple. AFI has their own. So and they range from 60 to $100 a pop. So I don't have any interest in having that list be over probably 20 film festivals. So, and they have to have a shorts category, which most do because they can show more movies if people put in more shorts.
Yeah. Me and my fiance were over there. I was actually doing Amazon Flex over there and I wanted to go to it, but it was like super busy and she didn't really want to like deal with the hassle and it seemed like probably we probably wouldn't be able to like actually get anywhere, so we just left. But I have wanted to go to that one, the Palms. That's why I asked. And then the last question on this I'll ask you is, I mean, what do you think that it is? Because I'm big into like directing, and I definitely wouldn't call myself a director besides like Instagram and YouTube stuff. But I obviously like am like kind of like a film buff in that like I know who's who and who comes out with the best movies, such as Quentin Tarantino and David Fincher and all those types of people. Um, what do you think that not only directors but actors too or writers, what do you think that it is that makes these people kind of get to the top? Like, do you think that it's luck, or would you say that you think that it's more skill and just like determination, discipline, just a talent in that specific thing?
Great question. Because if there was a good answer, there'd be more people like that. If there's an easy answer, I think it's a
Yeah,
combination of everything you just said. And I do believe in this, whether it's with a script or with your acting or with your directorial debut, the right person saw the right thing at the right time.
so
That's
a
a
lot of
lot of
luck.
what this it is, but you had to put in so much preparation and hard work and education to even create the thing that the right person saw that right thing at the right time.
Yeah,
So there's some serendipity in it. There is some luck, but it's just not dumb luck. None of
yeah,
those
yeah,
people were unskilled when their thing that made their break got seen. You
yeah,
know, so much they've done so many things prior to that. You hear of people hitting it big, but you don't hear about the 10 to 20 years, and I'm not even close to that, but the 10 to 20 years behind the scenes of stuff that nobody saw that they've been working their tail off on, whether it's writer, director, or actor.
yeah. And I think a big part of it might be too, like if the first movie or acting thing or whatever, the first couple maybe like bomb, then that's definitely like probably bad news for you. Whereas if your first couple are like really good, then people obviously want to work for you. And I think a lot of that can be calculated in the sense that like obviously to a certain extent you only have so much control on like what you take and what you don't because you kind of have to take a bunch of stuff when you're starting out. But you almost have to be smart probably about what you pick so that when people see it they do like it as opposed to doing like movies that just bomb. I know like I've heard like Tom Cruise or whatever, like he'll get the script and he'll just like immediately like read through it all and be like, this is good or bad. Like I think picking the scripts is probably like a big part of it. Because if you start doing some bad movies, then people aren't gonna like you as much
I
anymore.
feel
You know what
like
I mean?
Entourage. Have you watched?
Yeah,
I assume you've watched that living out
yeah.
here. I love that show.
It's a good show. It's funny and it's just entertaining.
Yeah, at my level, you pretty much take what you can get, but
Yeah,
it's not in a bad way. It's still really high quality indie shorts and student films, and you still have to, just because you want to do it doesn't mean you're going to get a chance to do it. You still have to submit, and then they still have to see you do an audition. And you can choose not to submit, but you can look up these people's names. So you can look up to see if they have a portfolio. They list who the director is and who the producers are. And even if they're indie films or student films, some of these people have made award-winning things. So I mean, that's always a good start. You don't get the entire script before you decide. They're looking for a guy that can play 35 to 45 and short hair, you know.
yeah,
If it says tall, I don't go. I'm not tall. I'm a short person. So if it says fit, I'm short and I'm skinny. That's not what Hollywood fit means. That means like, sexy muscles. Like I don't have those. So you look at stuff. Okay, I can be a lawyer. I can be a doctor. I can be a businessman. I can be goofball dad. And if they like your video clips you sent them and your appearance fits something they might have saw you do, you get a chance to do a self tape, which can be anywhere from 1 to 4 scenes, typically 30 seconds to maybe 3 minutes. You film that at home, you send it in, and you get the part or you don't.
yeah. And then also, you know, like if you do like a really good job in that part, people will also notice you. So even even if the script is or the movie isn't great or whatever, as long as you do a good job, people will probably. There's tons of parts like where the movie isn't great, like Brad, um, or what's his name from Twilight, Pattinson, Robert Pattinson. He like started in Twilight, which did good, but most people like didn't really think it was a very good movie, and then now he's gone on to do so much more, you know.
And that's
Um,
why we do these smaller films too, is if they get into film festivals, maybe the right person, right producer at Palm Springs Film Festival watches a short that one of us did an amazing part in, and they're putting some money up for a movie over there. Oh, that, so it's all the nobody can see if you don't put stuff out. And so that's another
yeah,
reason for doing the short films.
yeah. So have you met any celebrities since you've been out there?
I have met two.
That's maybe more than maybe more than me. Who'd you meet?
One, my headshot photographer, when we chat every now and then, played Dexter's mom in the original
Oh,
Dexter,
yeah. Where my fiance loves that show. We're watching like the
the new
new
one.
version of it. Yeah.
She's really nice. And uh I'm drawing a blank on his name. Hope he's in so a friend of mine, Jen Smedley, is a part of a comedy duo called I Mom So Hard. Have you heard of them?
I think I have. Is it a podcast too, or just the
They
comedy
they
duo?
do they do video, they go live and do podcasts. They've been on Kelly Clarkson, they tour, they've got books. We've known each other since fourth grade. She was doing a show at Flappers, and her improv coach from 20 years ago, Mark this he's in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He's the chief's husband. He's in The Good Life. He's one of the guys that work down in hell. He's in a ton of stuff.
Not Andy Samberg, because in
Older, red
um
hair, two
uh
first names. Mark Paul
Gosselaar,
Jackson? Nope.
Saved by the Bell, the Saved by the Bell guy.
No, older. God, and he's such a nice guy. I just ended up sitting next to him
It was just like
at
random.
Jen's comedy show
Oh, okay.
here.
Was that Burbank Flappers?
Yeah.
Yeah, my friend. I saw my friend perform there a couple times.
What the hell is that show? Is it The Good Life?
I've heard of
Ted
the Good Life,
Danson?
but I think my fiance would know more because she's watched both those shows. I don't think I have Reno 911. Oh, is it Reno 911 or was it the Andy Samberg one? What was the Andy Samberg one called?
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Brooklyn Nine Nine. Yeah,
He's the chief's husband.
I would probably know him if I saw him. I'm sure.
You would. The Good Place, not The Good Life.
Yeah, my fiance I think has watched that.
Mark Evan Jackson.
Okay, I'm sure that I would know him. But did you end up like talking to him and
Yeah.
like
Um,
networking or whatever?
I just I was gonna screen share Mark Evan Jackson. Um, I don't I'm not a networker. I think all life is probably kind of networking. I was just kind of like, what the heck? You're on TV. What are you doing here? It's like, oh, I was their improv coach 20 years ago. And he was just there to watch them. They were doing some new material for going out on tour in the fall. And just got to chat with him and got to hang out after. Turns out he has a sister that lives less than a mile than where my house is in Omaha. So that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also saw the guy. I saw my friend there, but then I saw the guy from Curb, like the fat agent of Larry David. I saw him
Oh
do
yeah.
stand up there. Yeah, he was just kind of like winging it. He was just kind of like going off the cuff or whatever. But yeah, so now I want to transition into your YouTube show, which I think is a really good idea. And I think that that type of thing is kind of like what similar to what I'm well, similar to what I want to do, where like you show clips and then you respond to the clips. And I watched a little bit of it, and I saw like the Better Call Saul one, and then I saw I think it was the Seinfeld one, which are two of some of my favorite shows. So that's pretty much what you do, right? Is that you just kind of go over what the lawyer is doing and say whether it's like realistic or not. That's kind of like the basis for
Pretty
the show,
much,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's yeah, so Saul Goodman's gonna give me so much stuff.
Oh yeah, for
But
sure.
yeah, and I'm not saying any of these people are saying these things are supposed to be based in reality, but a lot of people get their information about law, lawyers, and the legal system from TV. And I'm not mad about it, but I watch these things and it just has always occurred to me, well, that wouldn't happen, or would that happen, or that's weird. And so I find it kind of fun to watch a clip. Here's some things I think about as an attorney. It may go this way, it wouldn't go this way. He'd get arrested, he'd lose his license, things like that. There's funny ones. Saul Goodman and Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. More dramas, but I'm counting down the funniest attorneys. Was working on the next one before we hopped on here today for Thursday on that. But yeah, it's just kind of lawyer life. And I don't know, you can learn the legal system is kind of pretty big to people, whether or not you ever have to be involved in it, good or bad, somebody that has. And it's just kind of just getting some correct information out there. Like the first time Saul Goodman shows up in Breaking Bad, it's when Badger gets arrested selling dope to an undercover cop. And he says, if I know the law is, if I ask you if you're an undercover cop, you have to tell me. And the undercover cop says, okay, ask me if I'm a cop. He asks him if he's a cop. The undercover cop says, I'm not a cop. Now, will you sell me some meth? Sells him the meth, gets arrested. I've heard people in real life say that. Like, well, he didn't tell me he was an undercover cop, or I asked him and he said he wasn't. Is that legal? Yes, it's very legal. But somebody somewhere, somebody heard on TV, most likely, that, well, if you ask an undercover cop, they have to tell you. I mean, that's not true. So, I mean, that's just what I got out of the first scene of it's season 2, episode 8 of Breaking Bad. That's when Saul Goodman first shows up.
Yeah.
Then he basically just says, give me $4,650 and I'm your attorney. Doesn't have him sign anything, doesn't really give him a good consult. Then Walter and Jesse try to bribe him. He actually doesn't take the bribe, but then he gets kidnapped. And now he has them hire him. Hey, put $1 in my pocket because his hands are tied up. Now I'm your attorney. Well, okay, that's a conflict of interest because they want, he's actually suggesting they kill Badger. And you don't have to actually, if you think I'm your attorney, I'm not your attorney. But if you think an attorney client relationship has been formed from you talking with me, you don't have to pay me. I probably still have to already keep your secrets. The passing of money doesn't have to happen. But I mean, it makes for a good story. These Vince Gilligan shows are fantastic. And it gives me something to talk about.
Yeah. For some reason, that is a big thing in movies and TV shows is give me $1 and I'll keep your secrets. And so that's not true at all. Like if you're a lawyer and I tell you something, then you're kind of
Well,
like responsible for not talking about
generally,
it.
if it's in a situation where you would believe I'm your attorney, if you believe an attorney client relationship has been created, and typically that's used if you come into my office for a consult. So I don't have an office. If I had an office and I was a practicing attorney, you come in, you tell me to meet with me to see if you want me to be your attorney, and you confess to a murder. Okay. Because you set up the meeting, because you came in to talk to me, even if you don't hire me, I'm still bound by my ethical duty to not tell anybody what you told me. Versus, I'm an attorney, I'm at a bar. You come down, sit next to me. You know I'm an attorney, and you just decide you're going to tell me your life story. And oh, yeah, I killed someone. No duty there. So that's the kind of the difference there. No money was exchanged in either one, but in the first one, the duty attaches. You came to my office, you talked to me, you had to call in to set it up. You filled out some paperwork. The other one, you just blabbed in my ear while I'm trying to watch the game. And you can't say, well, he can't tell anybody. Like, dude, so it's a case by case basis, but no money has to be exchanged.
Yeah. So your show, what else do you do? You've done Better Call Saul, Seinfeld. Have you done how many episodes do you have so far?
So I'm going through Saul Goodman. So that's going to take a while. Starting with how we saw it on TV with him in Breaking Bad and now into Better Call Saul. So I have 3 episodes up, and we're just only about halfway through season 1, episode 1 of Better Call Saul. So 2 episodes on his appearance in Breaking Bad, and then I'm gonna have 2 episodes on season 1, episode 1, and it's just gonna keep going. So I'm also developing other stuff because I know some people haven't watched it, don't want to watch it. So that's why I'm doing the funniest attorneys. So that is Lionel Hutz from The Simpsons. It's number 10. Jackie Childs is number 9. So there's other stuff. I picked some of the funny stuff, talk about it. Those are a little bit shorter. Number 8's going to be this guy, Walter Warsh, if you've seen. That's Tim Meadows. He makes an appearance on Detroiters. If you've seen that on Netflix, very
I
funny
haven't
show.
seen Detroiters, but I've heard of it, and I know Tim Meadows. Yeah,
So that's going to be number 8. Hopefully that
isn't
comes out
Tim
on
Robinson?
Thursday.
Isn't Tim Robinson?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
his show's pretty funny.
So that'll have probably some scenes from Ross and Rachel getting divorced and Friends, even though they weren't being attorneys, they were being their own attorneys. That'll have scenes from Sunny in Philadelphia. That'll have scenes from Suits.
That'll
That'll have some
that'll
scenes
that'll
from
be good.
Arrested Development. Um,
Friends will be good. I mean, I think all of them will be good, but Friends is such a big show. I think you'll get a lot of
so there's so
people.
many Saul Goodman ones that if you're not a fan of the Vince Gilligan universe, and if you're not, well, you're dumb because they're great shows.
Yeah,
But people want to see Goliath. They want to see Billy Bob and Goliath. They want to see more about Suits. They want to see Boston Legal. They want to see Law and Order. They want to talk about movies. I can do movies too. So after the top 10 countdown, I might mix in. I want to talk about my cousin Vinny. They want to talk about A Few Good Men. Right now I want to talk about TV attorneys. So I think your question was how many do I have out? I have 5 episodes out right now. The Thursday ones are closer to 10 minutes. The Sunday ones are closer to 15 minutes. So trying to just find a sweet spot where you don't have to give up an hour to listen to it. But if you don't have a ton of time, it's not a long form type thing. Just because even the 15-minute ones take a long time. I
yeah,
get the clips recorded and then the screen, and then you've seen I'm pretty scatterbrained. This happens even when I'm not talking to somebody. So me staying on point with what I'm trying to talk about and not a lot of extraneous information. So it takes some time.
yeah. I don't think that's bad for YouTube, as people have ADHD attention span. So if you're just like going
I don't
off on
want it to be
whatever,
a
it doesn't.
lecture. I want it to be
Yeah,
fun. Pop in, pop out. Oh, I've seen that. Or even if you haven't seen it, give you enough context of what's going on here. Let's watch it. Okay, we just watched that. In real life, it'd be this. Okay, let's watch the next scene.
yeah. Um, if I'd give you any advice, which you probably aren't asking for, but as a meager YouTuber, I think your timing is perfect. I actually do most of my videos are short, only because mainly because of I don't really want to say laziness, but um, I just personally like shorter stuff. But 10 to 15 minutes is pretty much the sweet spot, which you probably already know. Anything over 8 minutes, you can get like more ads for, so then you make more money. And then the only other thing that I would say is, I I think try and be as shocking as possible without breaking the law, obviously, but like um be like something crazy that like immediately grabs their attention from the thumbnail. Like, what did
Yeah.
Saul say in this or whatever? You know what I mean? I'm sure you already know all this stuff,
I'm
but
still working on that. And I know thumbnails a big part of it. And getting a core audience is a part of it. But also there are other people out there that do something more like that and that fits who they are. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not there to stir the pot.
Yeah.
I'm not wild and crazy with I'm not big. Does that make sense? But I mean I can still be a better thumbnail with me going like, what?
Don't
Better
dude, don't get
thumbnails.
yeah, don't get me wrong. Like I don't like doing that and I don't like I'm not even in the video at all. Like it's but or the thumbnail, but I think it's cheesy when you're in the video like pointing. But you don't even have to be in the video. You could just be like something that just grabs people attention and not in like a
Yeah,
cheesy
just
way.
like somebody wants to click on it, but I also want them to click on it because they know what it is. I'm kind
Yeah.
of running into that. Oh, Simpsons. Oh, this isn't what I wanted, and they're turning off a second later. So it's a combination of I want them to click, but I want them to read what's on there and maybe read the description. It's tough because you want clicks, but you don't want people clicking away in a second.
Yeah.
And until they know who you are, I mean, building an audience is tough. So that's why I'm starting with some things that have some built-in audiences, and hopefully I can reach them. People love talking about Breaking Bad. People love talking about Better Call Saul. What I don't see a lot is the breaking down of the the lawyers and the attorneys in those shows. Because I mean, it's a
Yeah.
great story just to talk about. They're greatly written, they're greatly acted. There's all sorts of things you watch. I've watched them both several times through. You see, you didn't catch before, but it's not for everybody. So finding that it's a kind of a niche within a niche. So I'm trying different things with the different thumbnails I have coming on the next ones. But
Yeah.
yeah, and what's
And
I
obviously if you want like a kind of like what you're saying, not necessarily a diehard fan base, but maybe like a more serious fan base, then you don't necessarily want to do like the cheesy poppy thing or whatever. You want people who want that. Yeah. Um,
I just thought another Legally Blonde would be a fun one to do too. But
there's
then
so
those are
many of them.
movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have you done any research? And I think you just said that like not many people are doing it. Like, have you seen many other channels out there like that? Because if you're one of the
There
only
are
ones,
some, I think I'm the only one that's doing an ongoing through series and counting down. There are some others that kind of do a one-off, and then they're more a lawyer reacts to Saul Goodman's opening argument. And they're good. They're smart. They watch it, they see it, and they have them watch it and then immediately react. I'm assuming they've watched it before, so they know what they're going to react to right away. But that's not the main thrust of their channel. It's part of many of the things they do. And a lot of these people, they also talk about current events. I don't talk about current events. To be honest with you, other than LA burning down, and hopefully they get that under control soon, just because I'm in the middle of it. I act and I write and I do my channel. I'm kind of disconnected. I've had several people say, "Hey, I want your take on the Luigi Mangione case, or on the Trump stuff, or this or that." They're like, I know what's going on. I know it exists. I know the basics. I don't have an opinion, and I don't like talking about things I don't know. And my niche now, it's TV and pop culture. You want to talk TV and pop culture? I'm your guy. So
yeah. I think that people, just because you're a lawyer, I think they probably assume you know more. And it's like, you probably do because you're a lawyer, even though you might not know more about that specific case. I think you just know more um, in general about the law or whatever. And I think that's really good for you. The fact that you are a lawyer or were a lawyer or whatever, like you obviously have information that other people don't. I personally don't really have. I'm not like an expert on much. I mean, but just the fact that you can do that, because everybody wants, everybody has questions for lawyers. And like I said, I've asked my friend's wife these questions about Better Call Saul and um, is what he's doing like really legit or whatever. And so yeah, I think it's a really good idea. And already you only have 5 episodes, and when I looked, it seemed like you had a couple hundred views, which is honestly good because you're new, right?
yeah, you want to know? It's going. Yeah, I've got over 2.5. Uh, I got 2,500
Total or for one video?
total. The
2,500 views.
So the biggest one right now, the Simpsons one, is a little over 800, and the episode 2, which is Breaking Bad, second part of Breaking Bad's a little over 700. So yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, that is good. I mean, a lot of my videos don't, a lot of, and I've been doing this for a while and I have a ton of videos, don't even get that. Like some, mine are like all over the place because I do different stuff. It's not like one specific thing. Some will get a lot. Like these surfing ones do a lot. And that's kind of like part of the business is a big wave spot in San Francisco. And not only his, but some of the other ones that I've done, we're all getting like, for me, good numbers, like 30,000 more.
Wow.
Um, Otherwise, yeah, that's why I was doing it. But anyways, yeah. So, anyways, yes, you starting off with those numbers is really good. Like some people might look at it and be like, "Oh, it's not enough" or whatever. But it's
Yeah.
really good for because you just started your like you literally just started your channel, right? Like when you started this.
Uh, three, no, 2 weeks, 2 weeks and 2 days ago,
Yeah.
16 days.
So the fact that you're and obviously if people know too that you're a lawyer, which I'm assuming they do, just even clicking on the video, that's all obviously good too. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, I try to put it in the title, TV lawyers versus real life. I put it in the
yeah,
description. I'm a former attorney with a lot of experience. I don't want to keep repeating that verbally every time. I did a quick little 4-minute intro video if somebody wants to start at the beginning to work through. Uh, so it's all there. If somebody wants to see that I've done some of this stuff in real life.
yeah.
Um,
And then are there any sorry, I don't know if I cut you off, but
no, I was just trying to think maybe it could be something I could put more in the thumbnail too. Attorney explains could be something that's
yeah,
not in the thumbnail right now. It doesn't have to be a picture of me, but
yeah,
could definitely be at the top. Attorney explains season 1, episode 1 of Better Call Saul or whatever. I mean, I could probably do better with that in the
yeah.
thumbnail.
The fact that you're in the video too, I think also makes it good because people want to see who's talking. They want to know that the person who's talking is like a real person or
Yeah,
whatever. As
it's
a
not a faceless channel. It's not an
yeah,
AI bot with generated images coming out. It's and I kind of think I like the people I watch on YouTube. Does that make sense? We end up liking personalities.
yeah,
I know I'm not for everybody, everybody's not for me, but we kind of get drawn to the personalities and the story they're telling. So I think I think I have to pop on there, but I also don't want to be up there for 60 straight minutes.
oh no, I don't think there's anything wrong with not in my opinion the shorter the better for me because I mean I'm not going to sit there and watch a 60-minute clip on my phone or whatever. I don't know how any of them do it. Like I don't know if you've heard of like have you heard of like the H3 podcast?
I don't think so.
It's one of like the bigger like I guess you would call it like pop culture podcasts. Like they'll get like 500,000 to a million views, and they'll do like 3 to 4 hour episodes where it's kind of like set up like a podcast where they're just kind of shooting the shit. But like they'll just be talking. The first hour will just be them like shooting the shit. I'm like, how does anybody watch this for this long? I don't get it. You know what I mean? It's like they'll have like some crazy headline, but then you'll click on it and like they won't even get to it for like an hour or two. But it works for them. But in my opinion, it's too long, you know. So yeah, are there any good? What are some of the best? And then we could probably wrap up after this. What are some of the best? I guess examples of good and bad lawyering in TV. And then also, like, do you think that they should do when they get it wrong? Like, do you think that they should do a better job by trying to actually get that right, or do you think
Well,
it doesn't matter?
let me start with that one, the second one. I don't think most shows really care to get it right. And I'm okay with that. Creative liberties for the purposes of story and drama, right? And following an attorney around all day would be extremely boring. So I don't haven't watched. Well, I've watched plenty of Law and Order, and that moves so damn fast. Those tend to be more like what may happen, but in 42 minutes, you're getting an entire murder with 3 or 4 different suspects. So it's not a main part of it because you see the police and you see the interviews and you see the investigation and things like that. So I think those things like those try to be, but they're also entertainment. And I don't know if I'm going to break those down because there's God knows how many seasons of the different spinoffs. So should they try to be? I don't know. If they claim to be realistic, they should. But I think I'm just trying to bridge the gap between what is entertainment with what would really happen. Because I don't think any of them claim to be. So that they are fiction. Now, what are good ones and what are bad ones? There are parts of for TV shows. As far as realistic,
Yeah.
oh
Well, not
gosh.
only realistic, but I guess just like getting it right, getting the information right.
Well, I'll say this: the whole suits would never happen. Like, so it's so far disconnected from reality that a law firm would knowingly hire someone who hasn't passed the bar and then keep him on board to go practice law with all the liability they would be facing for any of that. It's hard for me to disconnect. Is it a fun story? Yes. Am I still going to cover it? Yes. But it's nothing like the way a law firm would work. And they don't, law firms like that don't handle every type of case under the sun or plant evidence for others to find that's fake or switch sides, but it's for drama. I mean, Boston Legal, pretty goofy. Ally McBeal, really goofy. Um, I do like kind of Saul Goodman's struggle in Better Call Saul before he turns to work for low pay, have a shitty car with a different colored door, has an office with no employees in the back of a nail salon. You know, worked real hard to get the degree from American Samoa or whatever it was when nobody believed in him. Like there's some good lawyer life stuff there. Makes some good arguments, and he changes, and we're going to cover some of that. But I liked season 1 of Goliath. I think that shows some interesting perspectives on a sole practitioner not wanting to practice, maybe getting a big case, dealing with some other things in life. Till they get to the courtroom scenes or dealing with the judge in chambers, they're very cartoony. Trying to think of other ones I like. There's parts of Lincoln Lawyer, which I'll dive into soon as well, that I like.
What
I
about like
need
a
to
few good
rewatch My
men?
Cousin Vinny again, but people say My Cousin Vinny's kind of the closest to real life for a movie as far as courtroom procedures and things like that.
What about a few good men? I've heard that. I feel like I've heard that that's like the best. I don't even think I've seen the whole thing, but I've heard that it's like supposedly like the best courtroom drama or something.
It's a very good courtroom drama, whether or not, and that's in military court martial, which is a completely different set of laws. It's the U.S. Military Code of Justice or something like that. And would people be yelling at each other like that? It's a very good drama. Whether or not it's realistic would happen in the military like that, I don't know. Did you order the code red?
I
Um,
mean, do they ever like talk like that actually, or no?
um, well, it's military court, so maybe with officers interrogating officers like that, maybe. I don't know, but in real court, it's not exciting. Like I kind of find it boring watching other people's trials when I'm waiting for mine. Or ask anybody that's ever been on jury duty how exciting that was. very
Yeah.
important part of our system. But there's hardly ever outbursts. There can be. Um,
Well,
It'd
they're
kind of be an
super long,
interesting one to
right?
watch. Would be the OJ limited series. To be honest with you, I need to rewatch
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I was gonna
Uh,
say, or I was there's that one, but then I was gonna say the new well, there's Presumed Innocent. I don't know if you saw that with Jake. That's a Jake Gyllenhaal on Apple TV Plus. That's pretty much just he's an attorney and he gets like in trouble. He gets like framed for, well, supposedly framed for like a murder or whatever. Um,
I got rid of my Apple TV Plus, but if that's where the what's the Vince Gilligan one about? The new one.
well, that's the thing is it's super secret, and so one of the things on my channel was actually doing videos on upcoming movies and TV shows, just kind of like information about it. So I kind of keep up on all that kind of stuff. But the new one is shrouded in mystery. Like nobody really knows, except for it's supposed to be like a futuristic kind of sci-fi, maybe like aliens. He said it's more like X Files kind of, which is pretty crazy switch from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul to like a sci-fi. But and we know that Rhea Seaborn or Seahorn from Better Call Saul and yeah, Better Call Saul, the main actress of Better Call Saul is in it. And I just I just saw it right before, and I've known about it, but like it's actually coming out this summer on Apple TV Plus. So I'm super excited for that. What do you think Better Call Saul was about in general? Like I kind of feel like it's kind of about how like they saw how people were getting fucked in like the in like whether it be the legal system or just kind of in life, him and his and him and her, and just did not like it, and they kind of chose to do things their own way. That's kind of like what I got from the whole series. I didn't like it as much as Breaking Bad, but what do you think the whole show is kind
They're
of
different
about?
stories, and they had to, since they're doing a spinoff, they had to show us how he got to become Saul Goodman in Breaking Bad, and he needed some sort of story arc because if he was just this goofy used car salesman with crazy TV ads the entire time, it wouldn't be a good series. So I kind of like he's kind of the underdog story, kind of a checkered past. He's slipping Jimmy, scamming people for money with his buddy that dies of the heart attack back in Philly. I think it's Philly or it's Mike from Philly or wherever he used to be. Um, and it's kind of, I think it's about, I'm in the early seasons again, but struggling to make a living for something you worked so hard for that nobody believes you can do, but then you finally get the chance to do it, and the realities of doing it and running an office and trying to do it correctly with no staff and no clients and no one answering your phone. I think it's kind of an underdog story that he's trying to prove to people you were all wrong. And but then he kind of wants to fuck with them a little bit too. When he dyes his hair and puts up the ad and makes his logo the exact same as HHM. That's somebody that's a little spiteful, but it makes for great TV. So, and they also have to kind of tell us the what happened to Saul after Breaking Bad with the black and white scenes,
Yeah,
which he ends up in Omaha, Nebraska, where I'm from. And I say this on my latest episode. Yeah, I say this on episode 3, the one that just came out. There are Cinnabons in Omaha, Nebraska, where he's now Gene and working, but not in any malls. So I didn't look up on Google where they shot it, but the Cinnabon scenes in the mall are actually not in Omaha. The house looks like it could be in Omaha, but most likely it's not. But they actually have a real newscast, a weather newscast on from Channel 7. He's watching TV in his house in the opening scene. That was actual real newscast from Omaha News Channel.
yeah. I recently heard that. I mean, who knows if this is true or not? It sounds kind of weird, but I heard that was originally supposed to be Hot Topic, not Cinnabon. that they were
Oh,
gonna
really?
do. Hot Topic, yeah, which sounds seems kind of even like even more bizarre.
Well, if those are what I remember, isn't that like where you go get your funny T-shirts and your little party games and your piercings and your
Yeah, like a punk rock store kind of emo punk rock type
yeah?
story. Yeah,
It'd be really weird for him to be like Gene in a store like that.
yeah, it doesn't
But
really.
it'd make it funnier, more
Yeah,
dramatic.
yeah, I wasn't as into Better Call Saul as Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad's like my favorite show of all time. Um, and I kind of felt like Better Call Saul dragged a little bit too much before it got. And I know that's not what it was meant for, but it just dragged until it kind of got like exciting. What do you think? Did you like one the other more?
They're different stories. I was kind of intrigued, when his law license is on the line, and what will Kim do to help him, and I think he has to unethically keep his law license that he's at risk of losing, if I remember correctly. So I mean, it's just kind of an interesting kind of play on, does he have the character and fitness to be an attorney? And you know where he ends up. We don't quite know how he gets there, but how much is Kim going to help him in all this? She never really doesn't really go away, but doesn't really overtly help, but she kind of covertly does. So I just kind of like the story, what people will do for people when it might go against what they should be doing. There's a lot of different things that don't have to do with the law, but um, he obviously has to transform from where he's at the beginning to where he's at in Breaking Bad or the end of Better Call Saul, even. And I just like watching that arc because I mean we're supposed to be doing certain things correct, and we have rules and we have ethics, so it is kind of fun to watch somebody. Not that I want to do all those things, but characters that get to do the things in our favorite shows that we wish we could do or would want to do or have thought about doing it. It's kind of fun to watch on screen.
Yeah, I think that when I watched it, I think I watched it like week to week or whatever, and then I had to like wait between seasons. And maybe if I don't know if you binged it or not, but maybe if I just binged it all in one sitting,
I binged
it would
it
be better because then it would be like it would be quicker. You know what I mean? I kind of felt
because
like
it is a slow mover and the
it's a
drama
slow
is
burner.
much different. So much more in the world, I would say, happens in Breaking Bad's 5 seasons. Because it's just
Yeah.
nonstop. And the
Oh
twists
yeah.
and the turns and the deaths and the drugs and the cartel and the labs. And they're two different stories. I think they're both great, but they are different. And I binge them all because I don't have cable. So what I do is I binge season 1, then wait for season 2. I'd wait a year. So the week before season 2 is coming out, I do 1 and then I do 2. Same thing when 3 came out, 1, 2, and 3. 4, 1, 2, 3, then 4. So
Yeah.
I can't do the week to week thing anymore. Streaming's ruined me. Forget what happens.
Yeah, and I think that it kind of makes the show even longer and slower, and sometimes you forget what happened. Yeah, I thought that was an interesting thing about Better Call Saul was how she stayed with him when you thought I think you kind of thought that she was like an upstanding citizen or whatever, followed the law. And then when she ended up staying with him, I was kind of like, oh, she's got like a dark side too to her, which I thought was
Well, it's kind of a
good.
love story too. They don't advertise it as such, but I mean, do you do stuff like that throughout the show for somebody you don't love? I don't know. I mean, it's a theme in there that's never really discussed.
Yeah. So now, one other question was, in terms of being a lawyer, how hard is it to be? You mentioned him, like, could he make it as a lawyer? How hard is it to be a lawyer? Um, like, do you have to be pretty in order to be a successful lawyer? Do you have to be pretty like, what's the word? I guess like disciplined or hardworking. I mean, it's kind of like an obvious question, but like, let's just say I wanted to be a lawyer, and I'm like, I should have been a lawyer, but I didn't. But I'm not like the hardest working person. I'm not willing to work 12-hour days or whatever. Do you think those types of people make it in real life as being lawyers? I guess kind of like Saul type.
So you gotta be, I mean, I think California may do something with an apprenticeship. that maybe you don't have to go to law school. I'm not sure, so I can't talk on that. But when I went through, you had to do undergrad, then you had to do 3 years of law school, and then you had to pass the bar. So undergrad, we all know, it's not as tough as law school. First year of law school, extremely insane. And then the bar, I never would want to do that again. And studying for the bar, just months and months of 8 hour days, 7 days a week. So you got to have some drive and you got to be able to memorize a lot of shit. But none of that prepares you to actually be an attorney. So I'd say 90-95% dedicated, work hard, organized, and some got through all of that, but really were maybe just heart wasn't in it for the right reason, or were there to make money. And they can still be successful because they can still put together a team that will make the money for them, or they're in a place where they're surrounded by place where all the clients come to them, so they don't have to go out and get them. So Saul's probably a general practice attorney, does a little bit of everything. So to do a little bit of everything, you got to take whatever comes into the door, but people have to know you have a door to come to. So, I mean, if you're going to go it alone, are you going to have staff or are you going to train them? Are you taking away from getting clients or being in court if you're training new attorneys or paralegals or administrators? How do you, is your website got good SEO? Are people answering your phone when it's ringing? He answers his own cell phone as a British or Irish lady in season 1, episode 1. So there's so much that goes into it. Who's doing your taxes? Who's doing your profit loss statements? So, but that's if you're a sole practitioner. Sometimes, some of the bigger firms do all that for you, and you represent insurance companies and they have you as clients and they farm the stuff out to you. So HHM in Better Call Saul is kind of like the big firm. They have all the big clients that come to them, they represent, and Saul's the little guy. So there's that little guy versus, David Goliath type thing too. But I don't see how anybody could be. Saul's smart enough, and he's got enough street smarts. Now, does he use those to ethical ends? No. In real life, would anybody ever make it that far? No. But it helps to have people skills, and it helps to. The funny thing is, just about everything you learn in law school, you can forget. In the bar exam, you can forget. Because none of that really relates to how to actually do the job.
Yeah.
But I get a little off track there. So it's hard to fake it. I'll say that. And you'll eventually get exposed if you're by yourself or even with a group of people.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah,
does
I
take some
learned that.
drive, and you gotta want to do it. Gotta want to help people at the base of it all.
Yeah, which is obviously a good thing. Um, but yeah, I went to college too, and not grad school, but college, and I mean that was one thing that I learned is that I was kind of like when I got into like the real world, I was like I just don't really feel like college prepared me for this. You know what I mean? It's just a different just a different thing.
Yeah.
And I don't really know if they can. I think that most of it's just sitting out at a desk doing, learning and doing homework, but um it's a different world out there when you exit college. But so yeah, are you glad that you're in California now? Are you glad that do you like it here so far better than Omaha or
I mean, I'm from Omaha, but I love it out here. It's, Nebraska's not all farmland. There's a lot of it, and Omaha's not huge, but it's not, it's about 1 million people. This is 14 times bigger, but I love it out here. I'm in shorts, sitting outside having coffee in the middle of January, where in Omaha it's probably getting down to about 10 degrees, maybe 0 with wind chill. People I've met are great. Weather's great. Got to pick and choose when to drive and where you drive, but I'm glad I made the choice, and so far so good.
yeah. Well, big balls for moving out here, man. Like it's a respectful thing for you to move out here and do what you're doing, and it seems like it's going good. So so far, and sounds good. So yeah, the last question. So I think we've covered most everything, right? That you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the last question I'll ask is any podcasts, movies, music, um, whatever you want to plug. Obviously, your own podcast. And is that also podcast format or is it only YouTube?
I put it on the podcast list on YouTube, but it doesn't go out. I don't put it on those things that throw it out everywhere because I don't have an audio only version, or I haven't even looked into that. I just put it on YouTube. So it's YouTube podcasts and YouTube video podcast.
Is there a YouTube podcast, like solely just
Yeah.
podcasts? Is that a
Yeah. Look
separate
on
app
your,
or is it like within the?
no, look on your studio. And then when you create new up in the right,
Yeah.
uh, you can go to create podcast. And yeah. So basically,
Okay.
once it's already a video, you can put it, you create a podcast list and you could just basically add the video into your podcast list. I have no idea how many people have only listened to the podcast, but yes, there are YouTube podcasts and you can separate them out. And it's very easy once you already have a video to just retype the description under create podcast and then upload your video into the podcast.
And then is there anything separate like from because I have heard about this. Is there's I just haven't like looked into doing it. Is there anything separate from the podcast and the regular video? Is it just so that you can listen to it like an audio
I don't know. I
form?
haven't tried. I need to have somebody actually try. It goes in its own playlist under podcasts, and you have to type the title and the description again and your tags. But I just have it up on another screen, copy and paste it after I say create podcast, attach the video to it, and then it says add this to a playlist, and it's under podcast, and I put it in the Saul Goodman ones or the top 10 funniest ones. So
Okay, I'll have to figure those out because mine right now are like kind of I just throw them on top of my what else I'm doing on there.
So you should be
Um,
able to, you might just have to like say do the title and description again and your tags, but you can just go on there under podcasts or create podcast and just kind of follow it. And you can take stuff you've already made as videos and throw it into the podcast.
okay, cool. So your show and then anything else you want to and the reason I asked this is just because I listen to so many podcasts, music,
Oh man.
movies, TV shows. I'm always looking for something new. And then one thing I want to ask you too, I don't know how into the music scene you are in Omaha, but one of my favorite bands called
311?
No, but I know actually like my uncle or great uncle or something actually like taught them and he's from Omaha. But I definitely do know 311. There's a band called Bright Eyes that's from there. They're kind of like a smaller band, emo
Connor
kind of.
Oberst?
Yeah. So you know him or you know who they are?
Yeah, I don't know him. I know who they are. They got their own record label and stuff. But yeah, there's a decent, very decent indie music scene out of Omaha.
Yeah. A lot of the stuff I was listening to came out of there, and I heard that the scene was pretty cool. So yeah,
Saddle
but
Creek Records. That's what it is.
yeah. So anything else you want to
Oh, I plugged my
plug?
friend Jen and Kristen. I mom so hard. Check it out if you haven't. They're awesome. I'm a big fan of 311. Been to a lot of their shows. Seen them out here since I've been out here, but don't know them personally, but really dig their vibe.
You've
I
already seen
don't.
them in LA. You've already seen them out there?
Yeah, about they were out in something canyon like second weekend I was here. So I went out and saw
Cool.
them. I don't have a ton of time. Oh, I got to do a guest spot on a comedy channel on here called Cone Brothers, Cone Brothers. They do weekly 4 to 6 minute comedy sketches.
Is it
Got to
kind of like
play,
a play on the Cohen brothers? Yeah.
yeah, but with a cone, like a traffic cone.
Yeah.
They're funny. I follow them. but quite honestly, other than my writing and my gigs and working on this movie and my podcast, I don't have a lot of time to watch other people's stuff. And I
Yeah.
also don't really listen in the car to podcasts because I never know where I'm going. And the direction lady is always yelling at me.
Yeah. No, yeah. That can be annoying when you're listening to something
But
and
I,
yeah.
and it just, yeah. So I just go music. So I'd like to dive back into that, but at some point I will, but kind of self-focused and self-centered, but nobody else is going to make this for me. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the only reason why I mainly do is just because I drive so much that I can just I binge podcasts and I'm always looking for new podcasts. I listen to so many. But yeah, so anyways, thanks for coming on. Send me all your links if you're able to send me any movies or TV shows that you've been in, that would be cool because I would like
oh,
to
yeah.
see that. You could just send me the links or whatever after.
I'm
And
waiting on a lot of stuff to come out, but I can send you what I have. Yeah.
even something that you've been in would be cool. But yeah, either way. Yeah,
Yeah.
just send them to me. All right, thanks, Michael. It was good talking to you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And hopefully I'm hoping one day that I'll be your biggest fan is if you get big and famous, then people will maybe come to this podcast.
I hope I can help you. I say let's make that a deal then. All
Yeah, I trust you. All right.
right,
Bye
cool.
guys.
Thanks, man. All right,
Thanks.
bye.
Bye.